It has been one of our top stories on news4jax.com. A former Flagler County paramedic caught on video molesting an unconscious patient on the way to the hospital. Now we're hearing from the Flagler County Sheriff.
But once in a while, you get a rotten apple. And this is a rotten apple that needs to be buried under the jail and the keys thrown away.
So Eric Abney is joining us now. Eric, this is just a really horrible story.
Yeah, you're right. Right now, Flagler County investigators only have 2 cell phone video clips to go on, but Sheriff Staley told me in an interview earlier today that based on specific details of what his investigators saw when they reviewed those videos, they don't think that this was the first time James Mulady had abused a patient. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office wants you to take a very good look at 37-year-old James Mulady. He's a former Flagler County paramedic who is now in custody, accused of video voyeurism and sexually abusing a patient. The video recorded encounter happened back in October of 2021. This is what Mulady looked like in 2022 while still a Flagler County paramedic.
It did not appear to us this would be his first attempt to do this.
Flagler County Sheriff Rick Staley says there are specific details in the videos that lead him and his detectives to believe there are more victims.
It's just very unlikely that, this individual did one attack and then changed their mind, said, oh, this wasn't as gratifying as I thought it would be, and I'm not going to do this anymore.
Daytona Beach police were the first to discover the videos while investigating Mulady as a suspect in a criminal sex case. When police searched his cell phone, they said they discovered 2 videos of Mulady sexually abusing an unconscious woman inside an ambulance while she was being driven to the hospital. According to investigators, Mulady was wearing a Flagler County Fire and Rescue uniform. After notifying the Flagler County Sheriff's Office about the videos, Flagler County detectives launched an investigation that led them to the patient who was sexually abused and reasons why she was unconscious during her trip to the hospital. The woman never knew she had been sexually abused until after she was notified by deputies about the videos.
There's plenty of indicators that there are more victims, and what he was doing is so disgusting. In our case, a helpless, unconscious individual that paramedics were called for, and you expect them to provide emergency medical care while they're being transported to the hospital. And instead, he took advantage of that.
The Flagler County Sheriff's Office says if anyone believes they may have been a victim of Mulady, they are encouraged to call the Flagler County Sheriff's non-emergency line at 386-313-4911 or email tips@flaglersheriff.com. Now, I did reach out to Flagler County Fire and Rescue to see what policies they have in place to prevent sex crimes or even allegations of sex crimes while patients are being transported to the hospital, but I have yet to hear back from their spokesperson. Meanwhile, Mulady remains in jail without bond in the Flagler County and Daytona Beach on those Flagler County charges, and is still at the center of an active crime investigation into Daytona, and then also that investigation into Daytona Beach. So there's a lot going on with this case.
I mean, Eric, is there anything that can be done to minimize your chances of this type of crime happening to an unconscious person?
There is. I was told that the one thing you can do if you have a loved one or a friend that is about to be transported to the hospital, you can always ask the paramedics if it is okay for you to ride along in that ambulance. That way you can keep an eye on everything that's going on. Now, in many cases, they will allow you to do that. In some cases, they may not, depending upon the severity of the circumstances. Now, if that is the case, then you can also, you can always ride behind the ambulance in your car, keep a close distance. But the unfortunate thing is you can't see what's happening inside and you can't go through red lights, so you're at a disadvantage. One other point I want to make, one firefighter I spoke with, a JFRD firefighter I spoke with off camera, he says that here in Jacksonville, whenever he encounters situations like that where there's an unconscious female, he will ask to have like a female firefighter or paramedic just to join them as they're on their way to the hospital. That way it just eliminates any kind of accusations or allegations that some improprieties had happened en route to the hospital.
I mean, that's great advice on something that you would never think could happen, but clearly we know how evil people can be.
And even the sheriff said this is the first time in his long career of law enforcement that he had ever even heard of anything like this before.
Eric, thank you.